on this episode of Edge of the Web.
And that's just Google trying to figure out what we want,
Yep.
right, when we want it. And they realize more and more that our intent is not national, that it is local. And they know that, Prime's great, 2 days great, but I still go by, and according to Deloitte, 89.7% of all purchases in the retail space are still made in a brick and mortar. The majority of commerce still happens at a physical location. We all just forget that.
Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. You're listening and watching Edge of the Web. Winners of Best Podcast from the Content Marketing Institute for 2017. Here and see more at edgeofthewebradio.com. Now, alongside Tom Broadbeck, here's your host, Aaron Sparks.
Thanks for listening and watching the live stream on a regular basis. We're broadcasting from Edge Media Studios, downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. Every week we bring you the latest marketing trends in the digital space, as well as marketing influencers from around the planet. We've been doing this for well over 7 years. You want to check out all the interviews that we've had over the years at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. The show's actually sponsored by the title sponsor, Site Strategics, our firm. We're dedicated to the agile digital marketing methodology. So if you want to know what that's all about, go over to sitestrategics.com. That's SITE strategics.com and check it out and learn a little bit and contact us, because we'd certainly like to have a conversation with you and see what we can do for your digital marketing success. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks. I'm the CEO of Site Strategics. And to my left, we actually have the indomitable Tom Broadbeck of Site Strategics as well. He's the Director of Digital Media.
Hi.
Hi, indomitable.
And yes.
Say
I won't
that.
even try. No. No, I want you to try to say Damon's last name.
Damon? Well, Damon's on the line there. And his name is Gochneaur.
There we go.
Perfect. Well done.
Absolutely. Well, you don't understand, Damon. They do this to me on purpose. As they'll actually get some news articles and just throw the wildest foreign names at me, and I trip over myself, and they think it's funny.
I love it, because it is.
Even the producer thinks it's funny. So Dave is the actual author of a book coming up. No, he's not.
You don't have a book coming out, do you?
Nope.
That's the next show, Aaron.
That's the next show.
All good. No books. I can barely read, let alone write.
But he's got a glorious beard. He's actually the founder of Aspiro Digital Marketing Agency in Denton, Texas. And how's Denton right now?
It's beautiful. It's a nice day in Denton, Texas. It's about 60 degrees, a little overcast.
Nice.
Sweet.
We've got homecoming weekend this weekend, and we got our Day of the Dead festival on Saturday, so it's very festive. Yeah, good times.
That's got to be too cool. Well, you got a lot of activity on the political spectrum in Texas, don't you?
Just a wee bit.
My God.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me tell our listeners why we do this show. We do this on a regular basis, not only primarily to educate our listeners on and kind of demystifying digital marketing tactics and techniques. There's been so many different things that have entered into the digital marketing space, and a lot of times you don't know which end is up, and on top of that, you can't get the straight scoop on what these tactics do for you. So we do this show to be able to educate and be able to unpack that for our listeners. It's also great to be able to have a conversation with our own clients, but at the same time, it's also about our education, because we want to be able to learn and keep our powder dry, so to speak. So this is why we do this each and every week, is to be able to just absorb what's trending in the space and be able to use it for our own clients. So that's the long version. What's the short version?
We do it to make money.
There we go. All right. So Damon, we would love to jump into some news, because there's some major news on the social spend side of things. You ready to go?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Let's take you through the latest digital marketing news.
I was very excited to start my reportings.
This week's trending topics.
All right, first on deck is what I wanted to talk about here. Over at Recode, written by Kurt Wagner and Randy Mola, Facebook's top political ad spender is Facebook, if you can believe that. The actual article here says that they're spending like a drunk sailor inside of their social media. Tom, give us
You're not really spending your own money for to yourself. So,
Exactly.
But no,
How does that work out on the balance sheet?
yeah, I know, right? But yeah, Facebook, in order to be more transparent with everything that happened in the last election leading up into the midterms here, they released a new report that they're calling the Ad Archive Report, outlining which politicians, political groups, and more have spent the most money on Facebook over the past 6 months. So they have the list down there.
Mm-hmm. Let's pull up that
Noah,
list
if you
if you
scroll
go
down,
screen.
scroll down just a little bit more, Noah.
There you go.
So there they added Facebook, Recode added Facebook because they put a little footnote at the bottom of their Facebook's chart. So Recode made their own chart, put Facebook there at the top, showed they spent $12.5 million. Next was Beto O'Rourke out of Texas. So we can hear from Damon here about all the Facebook ads he's possibly seen. Donald J. Trump was the second most, and this is I think it's from May to October. This isn't like a week-long thing. If you click on the Ad Archive Report, which is in the Recode link there, it'll show a week-by-week breakdown. So this week, I have it pulled up here, Beto O'Rourke has spent $507,000 on Facebook ads just in this week alone, had over 1,000 ads in their archive.
Holy crap.
The governor, a guy running for governor, I think J.B. Pritzker, he's in Illinois, our neighboring state. He spent almost 300,000 ad dollars on Facebook. So a lot of political stuff. It's kind of cool to see, but I'd love to hear Damon's input here on that and all the ads that he's possibly seen down there in Texas.
No, it's been really interesting to see, so outside of owning Aspiro and being the founder there, I'm also the director of search at Southwest Media Group, and we're a large traditional media agency. So we actually run some political ads for some candidates alongside some Facebook campaigns. And it's been super interesting to see the shift in how some candidates, specifically as it skews younger, are moving more and more of their dollars outside of traditional and into digital.
Absolutely.
And so this is a perfect microcosm of so many other races across the country. Beto has just really done a great job of capturing groundswell and taking grassroots to digital and tying that all together. They've done a great job of not only showing ads, but then through their retargeting, but then using lead form ads to create SMS campaigns and doing it. So for what it's worth, I am not a registered Democrat, but I got Beto O'Rourke text messages, and I get specific messages that are different than my wife gets.
Weird. Oh, wow.
So the complexity of his campaign.
Yeah, very articulated.
Yeah, super impressive.
Huh.
And it only matches kind of his, and this isn't an endorsement either way, but his whole thing is about reaching every Texan and going to every Texan county, talking to every Texan citizen. And it's been very grassroots. So it only makes sense that he translates that well over. The other thing he's done really well is most of his social ads aren't him. They're other people specifically talking about why they support him, why they like him, why they endorse him. And they're just normal people. And a lot of them are from your area. So they showed somebody that lived in Denton. They showed somebody that lived in Coppell, like around my area.
Oh, wow.
So he's getting super granular. And that's why you see 1,000. Texas isn't that big, right? We've got 190 or 250 counties, I think.
Well, Texas is big. I mean,
it's big, but it's not like a nation. This isn't, Trump trying to win the White House. This is one guy trying to win a Senate seat, right?
Right.
So it's really interesting to me. You know what I mean? How it's just how granular he's got.
He's almost doing this like micro influencer advertising 100%. With these type of testimonials at the local level.
100%.
I don't think we've ever seen that in a political campaign before. That level of connection to the community at that space. So that's really cool. The 6 month spend was $5 million. He's actually overshadowing the spend of the three Trump campaigns. Actually, it's two plus the National Republican Congressional Committee. Interesting enough is that the Democrats aren't in this space either. I don't see, maybe I'm missing it, I don't see their spend at all in Facebook. Isn't that interesting?
Totally interesting to me, because that was one of the biggest, like Hillary was super and Bernie were both, the Democratic Party in general has been very forefront of social campaigns and technology and utilizing. So completely surprises me that we won't see more from Ted Cruz. Yeah. And Ted, from a pure revenue standpoint too, from a dollars generated, Beto stands on that platform of he's, all PACs, all local money. So he has significantly less in his coffers than his opponent does, which is only further illustrates the point.
Yeah. But didn't he pull in like 38 million or something like that?
He did over like a week or two period.
Unbelievable.
Yep. And the average donation of that, I think, was like $100 or $200.
Yep.
Really, really normal people is the idea. That's his whole thing. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
We'll see how that pays off. But it is interesting about the transparency that Facebook's trying to pull together, even though that they're throwing their own money at the ring. But they don't want, you knew there was so many meetings to make sure that they are squeaky clean going into this campaign season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, I 100% guarantee you that a memo went out and Zuck said, do not get me in front of Congress again, please.
and with a few explicatives probably sewn in there.
I would imagine. I would have.
Hey, let's jump over to a search engine journal from Lisa Resler. Bing announces LinkedIn profile targeting. This is kind of cool, actually, is that Bing is actually now saying that they're expanding the reach into LinkedIn users using LinkedIn profile targeting for text ads, shopping campaigns, and dynamic search ads. Targeting for search on the Bing network and the owned and operated sites will actually be an open beta for all devices. Currently, it's a closed beta right now for the Microsoft Audience Network. So, available LinkedIn profile targeting, industry, 145 industries, companies, 80,000 companies, and job function, 26 different job functions as opposed to job titles.
Yeah, it's probably more broad instead of specific with the job title.
Yeah, these are big. These are general swaths.
Yeah.
You can certainly get into a heck of a lot more nuance in the LinkedIn marketing itself. But this is interesting because now, we know that these two camps are together, and we knew that Microsoft was going to be pulling the LinkedIn profiles in. Now we have the first look at this new matchup of advertising. Damon, have you been doing any LinkedIn marketing, and have you tried out this the Microsoft campaign here?
So no, we've been doing LinkedIn before, and we've been doing, we had done a lot of job title specific in Facebook up till 4 or 6 months ago. Yep. So this has been a big need for us with a few B2B clients, and then a few clients where they just know certain industries and certain jobs fit, specifically employers fit well. So health insurance, things along those lines, banking, financial products, mortgages. But the thing I was going to say is this is what we've been waiting for. And this is only just just another clear illustration that we're moving away from an intent-based approach to marketing and into trying to sell products and into an audience-based approach. Right? At the end of the day, it's about audiences and it's about how we engage those audiences. But we're super excited. We don't, of course we spend 8 times or 9 times as much on Google per month that we do on Bing, just across all clients. Yep. But for some of our specific clients and the ones I just mentioned, Bing has been a gold mine. Right?
Yeah.
It's better, all those things.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Is that we do Bing advertising very, very seldomly, just because of the inventory out there. I mean, 72% of your audience is in Google. However, I've heard regularly that you can get a better conversion rate inside of the Bing space. Yeah,
100% higher CTR rates. We get about 30 to 50% higher click-through rates. We get about 30 to 50% higher conversion rates. But to your point, there's just significantly less volume. Yeah. Right. But that doesn't mean that it's a channel. And it just demographically, sometimes it can skew. The older you get, the more educated you get in that demographic, and the more wealthy you get in that demographic, then the more it skews to Bing. Yeah. And we actually get quite a significant bit of volume. So in the financial space, in our mortgage product space, we actually skew real heavy at 45 to 70 and educated. And a lot of those people, because they buy Microsoft products still, and they get Internet Explorer default, they're still using Bing as their default browser a lot. Right. And my dad's that guy.
Yeah.
So I call it my dad marketing.
No, you're absolutely right. But I mean, you kind of see this ecosystem now, because you're seeing the surface advertising, right? And all the surface products are really, really dialed in to that younger demographic, obviously, the portable artist, right? And all of these thin applications. There's Bing right there as the default search. I mean, so you're moving with one arm over here with device saturation into the marketplace, and now you're going to start seeing you're just kind of surrounding them in a retail space plus an advertising space, and then you've got LinkedIn right there. These are some strong positionings in the marketplace.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what, for as much disrespect as Bing gets, in a lot of ways, they're an innovator in a lot of different areas. They were the first ones to come with a really decent search console experience. They were the first ones to come with a decent portal and some ads parts and give us some data and ads that we wanted that Google wouldn't want. And then just to this point, they're the first ones to really start, Microsoft had tried to go audience segmentation way earlier as well with demographics and some of the things they had there. So, it's just one of those situations. They're just left competing against the big boy in the room.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But we're seeing these micro campaigns where you can really start breaking away and finding those loyalists. And that's what you're talking about, is that you're going to have a much higher loyalty factor with the Bing audiences and the different specialty platforms like Quora, like we talked about before. Hey, jumping into our last article of the week from Ginny Marvin over at Marketing Land. YouTube now counts engagement on YouTube for action ads at 10 seconds, not 30 seconds. All right. So, Tom, give me the lay of the land here.
Yeah, so there's pretty much, Jenny broke it down here, what's changing. There's two key attribution points that are changing. One, YouTube will now count engagement, like you said. Whenever a user clicks or watches 10 seconds or more of a true view for action when using maximize conversions or target CPA bidding. That's a change from 30 seconds. And a conversion will be counted by default when a user takes an action on an ad within 3 days of an engagement. If you want to change, you can have your Google rep customize this time frame. And then for users who click your ad, YouTube will still attribute conversions according to the conversion window you have set, which the default is 30 days. So why the change? YouTube says it's changing the default attribution window from 30 seconds and 30 days to 10 seconds and 3 days to better reflect the, quote, relationship between video ad exposure and conversion. So it kind of makes sense. If you watch a 30-second ad, you pretty much get the point. And even after 10 seconds, you basically get the point. You should be able to get the point.
Right.
So
it's more top of mind, and it's more action oriented, and it really is going to additionally dial in the type of YouTube ads that you're going to be seeing, because they're going to be hooking for that 10-second mark. However, I mean, I still like the fact that they're putting attributions for conversions in the 30 days from a click as opposed to an engagement, because that engagement represents a little bit different type of behavior than the click to buy. You're seeing a bit more. I don't want to say narrow focus, but it's watch and possibly see something else in the space. You can tie in that conversion at a closer knit to that 10-second mark just by the consumption of video, but you're still able to have those long-term clicks to the ad campaign in that 30-day window. I think they're kind of riding the fence there, and it's the best of both worlds. Now that I kind of completely consumed this article, Damon, what do you think about that?
To be totally honest, I was pissed. I'll be honest. I was peeved, man. I was super pissed.
Oh, it changed the rules right there, doesn't it?
No, I hate that, because I have, for some of our clients, we have a year's worth of historical data on true view ads for 30 conversion point. So now how do I make an apples to apples comparison on that? Number two, we're running, in some cases, true view ads for actions. So we're using the 30-second engagement point and then only paying when somebody takes the next action after that. And for some of our clients, we're using store visits. So I get their idea that video in the customer journey has a specific role, but I think they made that blanket decision for us. And so that's why I'm a little pissed. I'd like 30 seconds, please, because we know for our video, we can still get 10-second metrics. I can get other metrics for how much video they consumed. I can get average watch time. I can get all these other sorts, just like Facebook gives me. I want the 30 seconds because that's a very real point in time. If they go 30 seconds, they're super interested.
Right.
So for us, we use the 30 seconds to create these remarketing pools, and then we have specific funnels that come after that. 10-second, I'm not nearly as deep. I don't know that person nearly as well. I don't have nearly as much data on them on how interested they are.
Hell, for 10 seconds, you may be looking at another window when that video is playing.
That's my point. And specifically in Facebook, I tell all my advertisers, throw out the 10-second video view, throw out the 5-second view, because if it's on mobile, YouTube's not as bad, but if it's on mobile, they could be still scrolling. So to your point, they could have finished watching the video, stood up, took a call, whatever, not even seen that 10 seconds, 15 seconds, then been like, oh, I don't want to watch this garbage. Clicks off, goes somewhere. I paid for that. They're now in my audience. I'm paying to remarketing to them. That's not who I want.
Do you think this is truly a play on? I mean, this is a very bold move. Is this a play on just getting additional ad dollars going?
Buddy,
Come
I
on.
didn't want to say it because I'm a cynic. Like, everybody's playing to the street here. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
they got a shareholders in a stock price to meet and to beat, and you're absolutely right.
Oh, man.
Theoretically, if you just look at the numbers, they just tripled conversions.
Yeah, they did, and that's going to
They just
affect their
tripled
ad
spend.
That's right.
Yes, their ad revenue. They just tripled their ad revenue if it's all based on TrueView for ads.
Oh, yeah.
Or TrueView for action. So yes, 100%. And unless somebody's really savvy, then all their future spend is going to be changed. Right?
Now on top of that, if anybody's actually running ad campaigns, the SMB that doesn't have a marketing agency for them, paying attention to this sort of stuff, they're going to see a whole, and they won't be able to even understand what's going on. All of a sudden, everything's exploding, and they're spending 3 times as much.
Great. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Oh wow, my campaign's going through the roof.
Yes. No, I appreciate the 3-day. So it's like weird, man. I don't get it. I see it's almost like, okay, I get the 3-day that video, but it's almost like, no, video, if it's video is really truly top of funnel and it's the first touch or it's one of the touches on, then I need a longer attribution window to make sure that I collect all the touches. So moving me to a 3-day conversion window makes no sense. I want the 30-day. I want a longer window. So I don't know. I'll be honest. I sent this to my Google reps, I think Tuesday when I saw the article. Yeah. And it was like, tell me we have some control over this. Tell me there's some other machination that we can twist and massage, because this is not cool.
Now, conversely, what they should have done is given us the 10-second as maybe a new piece of Chrome in the navigation, but
awareness audience. Yeah. Cool. We're going to select 2 audiences for you. You have TrueView for awareness, and you have TrueView for intent or for action, right? And the 30 and you know what? This is a bigger discussion that I have with our media planners on the other side. I think all video consumption will go to one of 2 forms: an awareness, and you pay for by impression, just general pump and spray, and there might be some targeting behind it, but even for TV, or that it's going to go into some intent based, whatever that intent based is, and you're going to have either a CPL or a cost per view, or you're going to have some other metric that really drives that buy.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. And finally, on that note, I'm really seeing forecasting that they're going to get in between our audience, and us from a transaction standpoint. They're going to find a way to be able to have some sort of, just like Google did with their site search crap, that all of a sudden now you have an intermediary funneling leads, but they're stepping in between us and our customer, right?
100%. 100%.
So if you actually want to bitch on the show, just get into the comment stream, please, because man, this stuff, they're messing with data and they're messing with performance, and they've got to check with the advertisers to see whether or not they're going to affect things globally, right?
100.
All right. Well, they probably will never do that because they want to make money. All right. You know what? Who doesn't want to make money? We don't want to make money from our newsletter. Sign up for your newsletter. Our newsletter. Boy, that was gratuitous, wasn't it? Each and every week, we bring you some great information about who we talk to in our interviews, as well as the news articles just like these. Just go over to edgeofthewebradio.com. Sign up right there at the top of the list there, and you'll be able to submit your information. You can also text to the number 22828. Don't do this while you're driving. Submit the word Edge Talk, and you can sign up right there. You can get right social with us as well. Everywhere we're sending you information about signing up for that newsletter. So jump on board and give us some feedback about the show as well. So follow all the featured trending topics over at edgeofthewebradio.com. Right now, let's deep dive with this week's featured guest.
Now it's time for Edge of the Web featured interview with Damon Gochneaur, founder of Aspiro Agency.
The Voice Guy introduces Damon Gochneaur here. He's actually the founder of Aspiro Digital Marketing Agency, located in downtown Denton, Texas. Damon actually has 10 years of digital marketing experience, as he started out with email marketing and MySpace marketing. There was a thing. Yes, it was.
It's still a thing, isn't it?
In MySpace marketing?
MySpace.
It's still there.
It's a music thing, isn't it?
Talk about some micro advertising in the MySpace area. But he's actually spent the last 5 years working on everything from local businesses to international brands. He's also the owner of a minor league soccer team.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yes, fun stuff.
Oh, man. All right. So there's the official bio. Damon, why don't you tell our audience your backstory and how you got into digital marketing?
Yeah, no, I'm a happily married father of three, so that's probably the most important thing that I'm the most proud of. But I
Amen.
got into digital marketing, um, specifically from buying leads. So I was buying leads as a mortgage broker and trying to figure out where my leads came from, and started following the ramp up the trail of where was I getting these leads from and web forms, and then started to find out about SEO and email marketing and essentially how my leads were being generated.
Hmm.
So, and conversely, that led me to MySpace, where I started to try to generate some of my own leads on MySpace for mortgage products, and then found a whole nother way to use MySpace and realized I don't need to sell mortgages. I need to sell clicks and traffic, and this is good. I can make money off this. And so here we are 10 years later.
Boy, in the last 10 years, there's been such an explosion in the space. And you really look at that 10-year mark, everything really started to take off from the advertising side of things, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, for me, absolutely. 2007 is when I started to get into it. And so Facebook was just starting to launch their platform.
Yep.
Google Ads as a platform was only about 3 or 4 years old. So it was still very immature.
Mhm.
SEO as a space was completely a wild west.
That was fun.
Yes, it was. Well, and even WordPress as a platform wasn't even really,
Yeah.
I mean, it was there, but it wasn't as prolific or proficient and prolific as it is now. So I was still building landing pages in Dreamweaver. It was, it was still super clunky. It was still super manual and nasty, but we were making money, and we were, I spent $250,000 a month on Facebook in 2007 and 2008.
Oof.
And used 3 targeting metric pieces. That's it. Age, gender, and education level. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane.
So we're going to jump into, we really wanted to get you on board and talk to you about local SEO and local PPC and spend. If you don't mind, I need to do another gratuitous plug real quick. Site Strategics is actually the proud title sponsor of Edge of the Web Radio, and we want to share a special with our listeners on a regular basis. So we provide digital marketing strategies all the time, and our clients regularly want to know about digital marketing return on investment. I think that's one of the key things that clients need to know. And if they don't know this, they absolutely need to be paying attention to it when it gets down to what you're spending and what you're converting. That's where the rubber meets the road. So if you're focused on that, we can certainly help you out. If you go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/ROI, you can actually sign up right there and get the conversation going of what we could do for you from a special digital marketing return on investment report. We're offering 30% off on that report. It goes over all your digital marketing strengths, weaknesses, and threats. We cover SEO, content marketing, social media, SEM, all the different spaces, and it allows us to get to know you and what you're trying to do with your digital marketing execution. So go on over there. You get an SEO audit, all the kit and caboodle. Kit and caboodle. That should be the landing page right there. Anyway, check it out, and we'll certainly be happy to have a conversation. Maybe this is a right fit for you to look at what you're doing, and maybe what your marketing firm is doing as well. All right. Appreciate the indulgence there, Damon. Let's jump into local search, because I tell you what, local search is exploding right now, and it has been for several years, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that's just Google trying to figure out what we want,
Yeah.
right, when we want it. And they realize more and more that our intent is not national, that it is local. That for the majority of things, we're looking for the closest near me or around me or still open or any of those modifiers that let them know, hey, I need this now. And they know that, Prime's great, 2 days great, but I still go by, and according to Deloitte, 89.7% of all purchases in the retail space are still made in a brick and mortar. So, specifically local. Yeah. And that's a 2017 statistic that's available from Deloitte's website. So the majority of commerce still happens at a physical location. We all just forget that. Walmart is still one of the largest global brands, right? We all still forget that. But for local, it's about putting people into a store or getting people into a space, right? A phone and email. And so I've loved local. I grew up in local. My parents own a cosmetic company that serves and is primarily in a lot of ways a local business. So I love being able to watch businesses grow and see the impact it has, and people being hired and people taking their families on trips, buying bigger houses, all those different types of things.
Absolutely, and that's where all business derives from is that local space, and Google certainly has been mashing up that local. I mean, you cannot get a true qualified ranking at any point in time with third-party tools. I mean, everything's mixing, and rightfully so. It should be tied into your proximity and what's most relevant to other users. I mean, Google's listening and learning. But I've been catching in webmasters more and more near me phrases, and it's just been amazing seeing that crop up as one of the variables there. Anything near me, literally, it's part of, I think, almost every business's ecosystem now from an inbound play, right?
100%. Yeah. So we still see the growth of near me, even though we see a lot of other things changing. And a lot of that's because we use voice so much more, right? So we're using our voice. So we need to qualify that. And then a lot of that too, even on devices where it's typed in. So even on desktop searches, we see near me, which tells me that Google's doing a great job with auto suggest, right? And they're giving that as an option, and people are choosing that option. Oh yeah, I do want something qualified, right? And even when we don't see near me, we see still open, we see delivering, we see to go, we see with patio. So we'll see, like for some restaurant clients, we'll see tacos with patio or steak with patio, because they want, it's a nice time of the year for us. They want to sit on a patio and enjoy a drink.
So you're really getting into the consumer experience and what they want, as opposed to what you think would be a relevant keyword based on your business strategy. I mean, this is lifestyle plus your product, right?
100%. And then you see that in the best of and all of the other ancillary searches that start to happen around local products that you don't see in a lot of other spaces. So, that's specifically when you talk about local SEO, we talk a lot about what are the best of Denton, or, best of your county, best of your city, best of your metroplex, best of your area. If you've got a school or anything along, any organizations, newspapers, they're going to have those same sort of qualifications, and those are going to feed in. And a lot of times those are going to outrank you for those searches, and you will never outrank those for a myriad of reasons. So we talk about Barnacle SEO still a lot, and your need to be on places like Yelp, and your need to be in places like Urban Spoon, or depending on your business, WebMD or Zoom or Legal Review, or all those different types of sites.
Right. Is it safe to say that what we're seeing is another level of savviness of the digital user, the digital audience, that they're trusting that lifestyle reference now more from searches than ever before? They're getting comfortable in this space, that they don't have to fine-tune their search queries to be able to find something. They're being provided exactly what they're looking for now, and they're more comfortable exploring the different variations based on lifestyle, as opposed to a pursuit vector of the top terms that we all thought we were going after.
No, I think you're totally right. I think it's a really interesting point you make, that with the same velocity that Google is maturing as an engine, consumers are maturing as searchers. And so, like I tell my wife all the time, I consider myself a professional searcher in a sense of trying to find the information I want. Well, I search a lot and I work on the platform. Consumers naturally are doing that as well. They're realizing how they get search results they want, or to your point, how they can get a curated list so that they can filter and absorb and consume that content much quicker.
Right.
And then from okay, cool, shortlist me 8. Then I'll go maybe Facebook or a few other places to grab some reviews. And then we'll go ahead and start to make a decision based off 2 or 3 points of data, and not have to reach out to 15, 20, and not have to pull everybody's website and call and get into social. So yeah, it's really interesting. We see a lot of times where, we get brand new unbranded searches that hit straight on our Google My Business page, look at some of our reviews, and then call us. So that's not a long pathway. That is not a super, scrambled customer journey like I show for so many other clients. For local in particular, the local searches have a significantly higher intent of actually completing some sort of action. So it's like 70, Bright Local's got some great studies on this, but like 70 something percent, I think 74% of searches locally result in an action taken within 24 hours.
Yep.
Because we're not looking for a plumber for next month.
Right.
We're not looking for a cardiologist for the future. My chest hurts.
Yeah.
I need a lawyer.
Right.
I need my yard mowed, whatever it is. So it's really interesting as an ecosystem. The intent behind the searches is so much higher.
Yep.
To your point, we have to be really good and really smart and really well positioned for each one of those different journeys they could be on.
You're starting to talk about behavioral journeys, not only the customer research journey, but they're actually their preference of how they want validation on the decision. Like you're talking about going through a number of different Facebook reviews, this, that, and the other. You're really starting to get into a space where you're creating profiles of how they want that type of information fed to them. That's where the assistant applications come in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is have you guys seen the Google Home Hub thing that they just came out? Just came out this last week. I think that's going to be very significant for the local SEO industry. Is all the functionalities they can do. Have you guys seen? It's pretty crazy how that technology is.
But it's learning from you, and now that you have the Google account in your mobile device, in your desktop, and in your hub, it's learning your behaviors and how you want to have that information filtered, right? And as much as you give into the Borg. I mean, as much as you train the Google Assistant, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. This lifestyle acceptance of, okay, the data's finally getting to me the way I want it, and I can actually manipulate the way I want it as well.
Yep. And then we see that too, like, Google's preached schema for so long, but that's exactly where you see all of our efforts and schema starting to play out, right? And specifically too with voice, right? It wants to know what kind of data that it's looking for. You're looking for a specific type of query, then it can go find that specific query answer, not only in a topical relevancy, but from a type of data that it's looking for. I think in general, we're all trying to figure out how to structure all of our information. I mean, Netflix came out with a thing last week about how they created their own Netflix database, the NMDB. And essentially what they did is they're applying structured data markup to the video content itself so that you can sort and index and run better queries. But all I'm trying to say is I think that all companies that are sitting on all this data are trying to figure out better ways to make it more accessible and make it easier to use and to find insights in it. And I think Google sits right at the forefront. I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
Way ahead of the game. We have Alexa. We're an Alexa family because we're Amazon Prime and a Spotify. It's a great. But from an informational standpoint, Alexa is stupid. I love her to death, but she is dumb.
You're pissing off our Alexa right over here in the studio.
Yes, that's it, man. She'll get all, it's like, there's so many cool features though.
Right.
Like my kids can call me. We can drop in. I
Oh,
drop
yeah.
in the game room. I do all kinds of stuff with it. It's amazing. They've got every room's got one, but from an informational query standpoint, it does a poor job of answering queries. It's not very good. Siri does way better.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I mean, there you go. It's kind of sad, but yes. And then I'm sure that that the Google Hub will be even infinitely better for that piece, right?
Yeah.
But Google's trying to figure out the transaction side. Amazon, you can order products, and I've ordered a bunch of products from the Alexa. It's awesome.
Yep.
It's amazing. Reorder this, order another one of those. Alexa, find me this, and she does a great job.
Just make sure that the kids don't know your code on that particular transaction. I'll tell you what.
That's it. We've gotten burned on that already. Got a couple Xbox games. Got some,
Too damn easy.
yeah. Oh yeah. Fortnite's exact battle passes. God bless. God bless battle passes.
I think the path we're going on, we all want to pull back to some of the things that you've talked about here recently. But Pat, you may very well be seeing that you don't. These speaker devices, the AI devices, don't have to be everything for everybody. So you've got the Siri space, which is going to be a mobile space. Perhaps you're going to have much more transactional knowledge in the Amazon space, right? These devices could very well be in different segments of what you're trying to, in different segments of your life, right? They don't all have to be everything for everybody, right?
100%. 100%. Because nobody's 100% committed to the ecosystem.
No.
Everybody's got a little bit of everything, especially if you're digital. You know what I mean? And if you are wholly one place, then God bless you. But nobody does it well. You know what I mean? It's the same reason none of us own just one brand of shoes or just one type of car or just one type of anything. I got 4 brands of TVs in my house. Why? Why?
Because that was cool at the time.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is like typically somebody stays in the like per device. They find some sort of family, right? So everybody's got an iPhone in my house or some sort of, we're Apple, but then we're all Amazon for other products. And we're a whole crap smeared load different laptops and Chromebooks and MacBooks and the whole deal. So you're absolutely right. Yep. So because of that, it just makes it even more important for us as local marketers to understand they're going to find there's a lot of different ways they can come across us. Are we feeding the data to the right places? Are we taking care of the information in the profiles so that we're putting our best foot forward when we meet them in their time and space in their journey?
Yep. No. Well said. Well said. Talking about brands at Pubcon, you talked about how small businesses can compete with strong brand signals. What are some of those signals, and how do they actually translate into success?
No, absolutely. For all small businesses, there's a unique opportunity because you're in the market and you're typically much more embedded and ingrained in your community than the large national brand. And so that's almost for every vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Only when you get to some specific like insurance agents and some things like that, they do a really good job. But you look at like a Domino's Pizza, or in our area, we have Mr. Luigi's. Mr. Luigi's sponsors every PTA. Mr. Luigi's gives pizza to every time there's a fire or there's any kind of massive turnout for EMS and that stuff. They're the first one to donate pizzas.
Amen. There you go.
Mr. Luigi's is on the square. Mr. Luigi, so from a community standpoint, he's there and you're locally owned and you have a chance to embed yourself in a way. So I always tell local businesses, you look at from a competitive standpoint, of course, we want to look at we start to talk about links and we start to talk about rankings and we start to talk about citations. But the one thing typically the local or the national brand doesn't have is any sort of real attachment to the community. So I'm from Denton. I grew up in South Denton County. I went to UNT, graduated from UNT, now have my business on the square in Denton. So I use that. We sponsor and we give away anything we can to local Denton businesses. Number one, because I want all those local links and I want people to know outside of the link back to my site that we are committed to our community, because there are a lot of bigger agencies just 20 miles down the road in Dallas. And I work with some of those. And so I know that. But our unique differentiator is we are right here. We know this market better than any other agency that you could work with because it's our backyard. And then beyond that, then we set out from there and take some different approaches. And every local business has that same competitive advantage. You live there, you own a home there, you make your bed there, it's your community. So you have to play off that.
It's a natural advantage, isn't it?
Absolutely. In my mind, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you come to markets like Texas, we want to buy from locally owned. And more you see this across the country. People want craft, they want local, they want locally sourced, they don't want big boxed commercial homogenized experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's your unique offering, your chance to do that. Airbnb's done a great job, I think, of showing how a national brand actually does the opposite and takes a really local approach, because they've got out of Airbnb is no more just like a place to find a transient, shared space, but they sell experiences. And so I just booked a trip on there and we booked 2 or 3 other things through Airbnb that are not hotel related. One's like my son and I are going to forge our own knife out of a horseshoe. One's a walking tour through the city with a photographer, so that she takes pictures of you while you're seeing all this stuff. Super dope. So, you know what I mean? But my point is like Airbnb understands that their chance to compete against Hilton, to compete against VRBO was not to offer more properties, but to get and become local experts. Mm-hmm. It's the same for every local business.
Well, local business certainly have an advantage, and unfortunately, a lot of the small business owners don't know the laundry list of things that they could do, right? And a lot of these things, I mean, starting at Google My Business, right?
Oh,
that is such one, it's a free environment, but it's such a great transactional environment and connection to your audience. I mean, especially with the Q&A that's there.
100%. And post and reviews. 100%. And then now we get insights out of that. So you can see how many people looked at your driving directions. You can see how many people clicked your phone number and called you. Then if you're doing any paid search, you can tie your GMB to your Google Ads account, so that you can start to show your location extension and start to get all the data from that. And then beyond that, if you're lucky enough and you apply and you're nice to your rep, maybe you might even get store visit data out of it, right? And how nice is that to know that we spent money and then we actually drove a store visit? So no, you're absolutely correct. And it's crazy how many, and we work with the full myriad. So I work with a handful of local, small, pop, single location service businesses. And then we work with a handful of franchise, 400, 500 locations across the country, corporate models. And the reality is there's just as much mismanagement and misinformation and messiness with the 400 corporate locations as there are with the mom and pops, sometimes even more, because nobody's thought about how the scalability can get out of control so quick.
Aaron, I'm a little disappointed that we skipped over a key function here. The horseshoe with the knife.
Oh, it's super cool. I'm
How
so
how does
excited.
this work? Like, so you're holding in the middle and you sharpen both sides, or how's
No,
how's
so
this
what you
work?
do is you come in and they take a horseshoe, an actual used horseshoe, and they cut it in half.
Okay,
And so you take the bottom end with the
bend.
yes, the bend, the outside the bend, the bottom where the cleat would be.
Yeah.
That becomes your handle, and you take the top curve part.
Okay.
And you warm it up, pound it out, and finish it down into a knife blade.
Gotcha. Sorry, I was
No,
that,
you're
the
cool.
whole
I'm
time
so
you're answering that other question, I was thinking about the horseshoe knife.
We were all fixated. Yes, I have to repeat what you just said because we were just trying to figure out. No.
But so local question, I'll take you back towards the conversation.
Yeah.
Beacons. We got a Google beacon. Have you had a chance to play with those? What
No.
do you do with those?
No, and so that's this was Pubcon last week. I got hit with this for 2 or 3 times, and what's dumb is I spoke on Tuesday about this, got the question, had my Google account team, our agency team, in our office on Wednesday all day. So while I was in Vegas, I was on the conference call with them all day talking about accounts. And every time I was like, guys, why don't we have any beacons yet? And so it's weird. They did a really brief trial where they just sent beacons, and from what I can tell, it was kind of random.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we've got some large clients at Southwest Media Group, some taco chain clients, some chicken chain clients that are national brands that everybody would understand. And we didn't get any access for those. They didn't send us any beacons, but we get store visit data for those because of the beta they did with store visits before. So part of me, I asked them like, well, I pushed back, well, like, aren't I going to get better data through the beacon? And part of their thing back was we sent the beacons. The idea was we sent the beacons to the places where we couldn't use other signals to model store visit data. So, but even with beacons, so I love beacon technology. I think it's like a super cool thing. Google, I'm not as convinced beacons is a great route for them because they don't have they don't have their own app or PWA that has a super high saturation rate that's going to trigger the action like Facebook will. Facebook's had beacons out for like 5 years now. They did a great job of just sending them to as many locations and bars and restaurants and everywhere you can. And they're using them now because they have the app, they can trigger the beacon and they can start to actually have something that triggers it. Google, and this is what the rep and I just talked about last week, unless you were in Waze, unless you had the YouTube app open, unless you had a Google app open, which most of us actually are loath to do. We use a lot of Google products through the web. Even like internet, can't do it. That's not a trigger because you'd have to have the Gmail app and it sucks. So because of that, most of Google apps suck except for YouTube. We don't have a great trigger as opposed to like a Facebook. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you would think though with the just Android in general, right?
That's fair. No, that's totally true. But from the way he explained it, it would have to be something other than just the Android experience. There's got to be a trigger of the app in there that actually communicates it. So I'm super excited about beacons. I don't think we figured out fully how to use them yet. I think from a segmentation standpoint, that's like the holy grail for us is so close. And I don't think we've ever been closer. And especially for the attribution, you hit on it, when you were talking about your gratuitous plug, right? It's about attribution.
Right.
It's about being able to tell the business you stuck in 1,000 to the machine and you got 2,000 back. That's what every business, every vertical, every industry wants that. And beacons get us way closer to that step because now we have another data point that we can tie post conversion. Right.
No, absolutely. So you've got beacons are on the rise, and as more and more tests go on, you're going to see small and medium-sized businesses be able to have those tools at their disposal. But you're absolutely right. You just can't have that without an environment to be able to take on that data and be able to signal that data.
That's it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then you got to have a strategy for it.
Yep.
Great. You knew they were in store. Now what? You knew that they were in your store and left, or you knew that they were whatever it may be. Right. And I think for auto dealers in particular, we talked to a couple years ago. We ran some tests. I think from a competitive standpoint, beacons offer a really unique opportunity that we haven't even really thought through yet. If it's only $20 and it's really innocuous and it doesn't require power and it's almost like a little self-sufficient data device gatherer, why would I not want to stick those in the planner boxes of all my competitors? Why would I not want to stick those in, as many places as possible to start to pull these audience pools? Like, why wouldn't, for instance, I'm a local business in Denton, right? Why would I not want to go to the Denton Chamber and drop one at the Chamber? For anybody that comes to the Chamber, I now have them in my audience because we both know if you're going to the Chamber, you're probably a business owner. Consumers don't really go to the Chamber of Commerce much. Or if you're going to the business tax license office, or if you're going,
there it is.
And then I can start to create these audiences off people that I know they're in my pool because they did the thing I needed to do.
But dude, you're breaking the fourth wall, man. You're actually getting in, getting into the real world space where we can start getting that digital topography, right?
Yep. Like, what if you're a bail bondsman and you stick one right as soon as that you stick a thing like above the door, the exit door, knowing that as soon as somebody gets out of jail, the first thing they're going to do is hop on Facebook or hop on social media of some sort, and they're going to trigger that, right?
Yep.
And not only that, they're going to start doing search. So this is one of our favorite things to do for local search is target out competitors based on their area, right? So we do this for auto dealers all the time. Bail bonds, it works great too. Somebody just got out of jail. We bid modify through the roof, knowing that between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., that's our people. Like that's who we want. Every other business we turn off during that time.
Wow.
For bail bondsmen, we go nuts. Put a plus 50 or a plus 100% bid modifier.
Go.
Yeah, like on a half hour, on a literally on a 1 kilometer radius around the exit point for the Denton County court or Denton County, detention center.
Nothing creepy about that, folks. Just
not at all. Not at all. But you know what I mean? Like that's the future of beacons.
Yeah, it really is. And
the Minnesota Vikings did it really well when they built their new stadium. They embedded beacons all over the stadium, just as near fields, and so they're not replaceable. They're wired in,
oh, wow.
and so their whole thing is then they use their app, the Vikings app, to trigger different things based on where you're at. So concession stand discounts.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they like you walk by the pro shop, hey, swing back by the pro shop, get 10% off. So they give you a chance to get in there. Know you walked by it. Cool, let's try it. Push them. It doesn't cost us anything. And so more and more of our clients, where they have enough audience to make sense, we're pushing them to create either a PWA or an app so that we have some way to do exactly this. Because if I own the app, then I can essentially tie the beacons to my app.
Right.
And then now it all gets super nutty.
No, that's good stuff, man. Something I wanted to make a stop around and get your thoughts on the local service ads.
Oh man, woo!
Let's talk
earlier.
Yeah. Let's tell our audience about what these are. If you're not seeing that, for any of the HVACs, plumbing services, any of the local services from a transactional standpoint, near me, somewhat emergency type of scenarios, you're now seeing an entire. It's not a carousel. It's an entire band of 3 Google guaranteed ads that are coming up specifically for that search. They then give you the ability to go zip code finding exactly those vendors or those companies in your local proximity, and it's basically an endorsement by Google on who you should be trusting. Now, check it out. The validation on the process of actually registering this is excruciating. It can be because Pinkerton, from a background check, is paired up with Google, and they're actually going to evaluate and do background check of the individual that possibly even work for those companies, right?
Exactly. And it's the same thing. It's not easy at all. 100% from the background check perspective. But, I think the point I was going to make is this is Google trying to figure out how they get in between that transaction. And, they've done this for flights already. I book most of my flights now through Google because their engine is so great and so seamless. And they're looking to do that in as many verticals as they can. And we see this all the time with how they're testing things. They've tested it with hotels. They've tested it with all kinds of verticals just like this. Bail bondsmen, garage door repair, plumbers, electricians. You're absolutely right. Because they understand if they can close that loop and if they can make that process a positive, enjoyable experience, then you're going to come back and you're going to do it again. And that only guarantees their future profits.
No, absolutely. So you've had experience, obviously, in the local service ads. Can you give our listeners a kind of a 1-2 punch on how they can get started on those? Because it's been pretty damn elusive, actually.
Yeah, no, the best thing to do is if you have a Google Ads rep, reach out so that you can get, because a lot of times it's going to be restricted by market and it's going to be restricted by industry. If you're seeing them for competitors, then what you do is you straight up go to your Google account and you submit a help ticket if you don't have a link for the beta. I tell everybody, go to help, say, hey, I want to be in local service ads. How do I apply? Because a lot of times they will not make these types of forms and these types of betas and access is easy to find.
Right.
The clients we've had, it's just been in there as a notification. Hey, you have access to local service ads. Would you like to try? And we're like, hells to the yes. But for other clients, like I'm working with an AC company, and
Mm-hmm.
we have an AC client in Austin in particular, and we're seeing them pop up. Well, they're in Round Rock. They're not actually in downtown Austin. So because of that, because of their location, we had to apply. We had to get our Google rep to submit a thing so that we could get just those North Austin searches. We could get included for those.
Right,
We're
right,
not
right.
going to get them for our Round Rock, but that other area, we do serve that area. Our office just isn't primarily based there.
So, I mean, you're talking to a Google ad rep, and usually, you know, your marketing agency, you do have that particular relationship. For the SMB, the small business that's trying to get that, they usually don't have that rep. However, Google's been very forthcoming on new customer service in that space, right? So, how would that they have to be running ads in that space to be able to have access to that rep to be able to get into that space, right?
That's it. So if you want to run local service ads and you don't do any PPC at all, first and foremost, create you a Google Ads account, because they're not going to even pick up the phone and call you if you don't have a Google Ads account. If you have a Google Ads account, from there, you can literally go into the help and submit a chat support ticket, and it'll start the process as seamlessly as that is. If none of those are working for you, Google's Twitter support for their Google Ads is outstanding. And if it's during business hours, and it's the same for their Google My Business, I get way better Google My Business support through their Twitter handle than I do through their call-in numbers. That's serious.
Oh yeah,
First place I go.
that's customer service right there. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. Look for Indianapolis Plumbing or something like that. You'll be able to see those listings. Have you seen a conversion improvement with those in place?
Oh yeah, they work very well, because I think you hit the nail on the head. It appears as an endorsement from Google.
Right.
It 100% seems like they're Google backed. It's the same thing when I buy a service plan from Circuit City, or I buy installation from Circuit City. I assume it's Circuit City installing it, not some third party vendor that's coming out. I don't care. Circuit City's putting their brand on it. I feel good. It's what Amazon's made an entire career out of, right? They built a business model off of it. So yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to cover that because it is something that's really brand new, and it's kind of hit and miss for some. Yeah, go ahead.
The thing I was going to say is if you work in an industry where not all your technicians are squeaky clean, you are going to have problems, because they will go through anybody that goes and sees a client.
Right.
So they'll go through all your service technicians. They'll want to see everybody. They'll want to see your state licensing stuff.
Yeah.
Because Pinkerton doesn't play. And Facebook's kind of done the same thing with political ads. So it's a very similar process. You're going to have to answer a bunch of questions. You're going to have to turn over a whole lot of information, and it's going to feel intrusive.
But as soon as the consumer knows that is going down, right? All of a sudden, those ads mean even more, because it's not only endorsing, it's also vetting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vetting these
100%.
organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that's going to play straight into the like the home devices and the hub device that they have there. So I want to do. What was the cost on that? Are they how more expensive are they? I'm assuming they're more expensive than a normal. Ad.
They are. You're paying on a cost per lead basis.
Okay.
A lot of times, and they're a little bit higher from a cost per lead than like call only ads we've run, or some of the other traditional. But from an intent standpoint, the leads themselves are gold. Every time it's somebody super qualified, super interested, right at the bottom of the funnel, waiting to buy.
As opposed to, let me ask you this, we're kind of unpacking a lot of local here. And well, this is the show, right? One of the things that we caught about 6 weeks ago was the site search transaction in the Google My Business. They threw something new in there that actually, unfortunately, came to a lot of Google business pages that didn't subscribe to this particular service, but all of a sudden these links started to appear, and it was taken over to another intermediary page to vet out that lead. Did any of your clients actually had that affect them?
No, we got lucky. I don't know why. I don't know how. That's one of those things where you're driving to the office freaking out, and you're getting there like, oh, thank you, Lord.
Yeah. Now it was a mess, and hopefully they've been cleaning it up over the weeks. But it's getting that intermediary function that is it's coming from the platforms, but man, they overreach there, and they got to be careful. They got to be real careful.
No, 100%. And then at the same time, you don't want it, but you're beholden to it. They have the audience, and if you want the traffic and if you want the crack, you got to pay the price.
Okay, let's talk about link crack here for a second.
Love it.
So link building is for local businesses still one of the most effective tactics for SEO, right?
I think it might be the most effective,
Roger
other
that.
than just creating a Google My Business page, right? Outside of just creating your Google My Business account, if you did that, didn't even have a website, literally just had your Google My Business page, and went and built links to your Google My Business page, you're probably going to outrank most of your competitors.
Wow, that's interesting.
Links are important.
Well, do citations still matter?
They do. But citations are really going to come in when we talk about map packs, right? So when we talk about local listings, whether you're bringing in a map result, then those citations help to reinforce proximity. So you hit a point earlier: proximity, topical relevancy, and then trust as measured by reviews.
Right.
So when we get into the map pack, those are the three pieces that really drive the ship. Proximity is the biggest driver of that. So of course, the more citations you have reinforcing where your business is and reinforcing those key pieces of your NAP, absolutely. But they're not as impactful as they were by themselves maybe 3 to 5 years ago.
Right. No, that's good information. And for our audience who hasn't experienced that, citations coming from Yelp, City Search, these different spaces where the property's known to be a local search. The link doesn't give you any value, but the citation is at least referencing the company in the geo branches of those sites, right?
Well, absolutely. Number one. Number two, people are browsing those sites, so we need the profile. We need to be listed there so that we're in the conversation.
Yep.
Number three, other sites are using those sites for information pulling as well. So a lot of, Foursquare uses map listings from some sites. Twitter uses their map location listings. So if you want to be tagged in Instagram, if you want to be tagged in some of these different social channels, they pull that actual physical location information from different varying sites. Some are Apple Maps, some are Google Maps, some are location maps. So all of those you need to be cognizant of, right? And those are all come down to basically citations.
Absolutely. So we've gone the gamut of local advertising and local organic build, right? I mean, yeah, exactly. If you listen to this show, you're going to go through a number. Yeah, those are the toggles. Get in there and start digging into your own data. We had Yext on a while back, and they're doing a bang up job helping in the citation management side of things. And we're not affiliated with them, but they're finally realizing their space from organizing the NAP, because you've got to standardize the data across the board.
100%. And there's so much data coming across from news sources and user generated and then misinformation that you're absolutely right. It's never been more important.
Have you had any opportunity on home service ads out there outside of the Google property? Some of the local ads, like what's that one?
We've done some Waze. So
Yeah.
we've used some Waze ads.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically for businesses that aren't on major highways, so they don't have great street views, but they have a really unique business proposition. So we used them for a children's pediatric clinic. And so because Waze is a Google property, we could target people, specifically mothers and fathers that had multiple kids, right? So, hey, great. There's a greater likelihood that they need pediatric therapy of some sort. And so, yeah, Waze ads are actually super cost effective, really, really cheap, tons of impressions, and they actually converted fairly well.
Oh, wow.
So not a huge amount of volume, but again, the people that saw them, they liked it, then they know about it, and it's super local. So we can, target and make sure that you can then start to take advantage of your physical location more than just in the digital space.
It's almost Beacon-esque in a particular way.
Super is. It is. It's super cool. So we like Waze ads. We use them for a lot of our restaurant clients. It works real well there. And then, Snapchat too. We actually have some success with Snapchat for local businesses. I know Snapchat stories for restaurants, for services, specifically if the business skews younger at all, right? So if it's in Denton, we're a college town. So we have some services that skew towards college kids. And so because of that, Snapchat local story ads have done real well, and local filters have done real well, where most people wouldn't think of Snapchat for local businesses at all.
No. You got to know your audience. You got to know your context and your demographic in the local space, right?
100%, man. 100%, because it's such a mixed bag of how they find you, specifically because the products and services can be so varied. We work with people in local that sell $20,000 teeth. You know what I mean? Like veneers. So a new mouse, 20, 30 grand to the guy that, mows lawns for $20 a lawn.
Right.
So you can see the ROI and who they need. Everything's so varied in the local space.
So you got to know your demographic, you got to know how to deliver and where to deliver, and what's going to trigger their interest, right? But if you're not even taking care of the spaces that are free,
that's it.
Yeah, you're just killing
you doing?
yourself, right?
What are you doing?
It's in the space now. Any small or medium sized business, small businesses, they've got to know that managing their digital assets is one of the key figures. It's not even marketing so much as it's making sure that you're clean out there and you got straight lines, right?
100%. I tell every meeting that I have that might have small businesses, here's 3 or 4 things to do today that are free that you have to do, mission critical.
Yep.
You got to install analytics on your site, and it's got to be correct, and you got to be able to track everything on your site, all your landing pages, all your traffic. You got to set up a relationship with Google My Business. It's mission critical for a local business. You need to set up Google Search Console so that Google can connect your Google My Business and your actual website and understand the relationship between all 3. You need to create a Facebook account, and you need to put the Facebook pixel on your site, specifically because you asked, you need to know your audience. Well, Facebook Audience Insights will give you that for all your site visitors. So we can take anybody that comes to our site and say, cool, what are their demographics?
Mm-hmm.
Then we can look at specific product or service or location pages and say, cool, who are the people that come to my Chicago location? Who are the people that come to my Dallas location? Who are the people that come to my Dallas air conditioning repair service page? What do they look like, right?
Yep.
And then we can also load the custom data in there to get the same thing about your converting users long term. So yeah, those are my 4 no-brainer. You got to do these things.
All right. Well, that's a great takeaway for our audience. Hey, we really appreciate unpacking local with you. I think this has been one of the best local SEO shows we've had. Can I ask you, Damon, what bugs you? Oh, thank you. What bugs you about your industry right now?
That's a really great question. That's fair. We fail a lot.